We're attacking the Iron Bowl, the matchups between Alabama and Auburn for an SEC Western Division championship on the Plains on Saturday. We've talked Auburn's rush offense against the Bama defense. Jarrett Stidham with a rough start to the season, not really being very comfortable in the offense. It's taken him some time, but I have been certainly impressed with his play over the last several weeks. And of course, the game for them at that point, just a few weeks back, winning against the Georgia Bulldogs, the #1 team at that point. He looked very sharp in that game. Ryan Davis is a guy that can do damage underneath. He's the guy that moves the chains and gets the underneath throws. But this Darius Slate, he made one exceptional play against Georgia that broke open the game, getting deep, beating the corner, getting in front of the safety actually, and guarding him off and being able to make a tremendous catch. He catches passes for 28 yards per reception, so he's obviously the big play threat. Stephen, your thoughts about Auburn's passing game against this Alabama defense?
Auburn doesn't have that one receiver that sticks out to you and scares you, but they've got a group of guys collectively that can make plays. And you mentioned the likes of Ryan Davis and Darius Slayton, but also Eli Stove, Nate Craig Myers, Will Hastings. For some reason, I still do not understand why Marcus McLean is more. He's 6'2", 226 pounds, big body guy. If there's something that Alabama struggles with from time to time, it's those big bodied receivers. But Jarrett Stidham has played well, has thrown the ball well, has connected with targets, and these guys do a great job of catching the football, putting it away, putting moves on defenders, and getting downfield. And that was a huge catch by Slayton against Georgia to really pop that game open. But for Auburn, it's a collective effort. If somebody is not doing their job, another guy comes over, pumps them up, gives them energy, lifts up their game by having, them play well. So it's a collective effort for Auburn. With a lot of SEC teams, Mark, there are a lot of receivers that you have to roll coverage to. At Alabama, you have to roll coverage to Calvin Ridley. At Ole Miss, you have to roll coverage to A.J. Brown. For Mississippi State, you have to roll coverage to Donald Gray. Even Missouri, you have to roll coverage to Jamon Moore because that guy's pretty good. At Auburn, there's not this one guy, but they all do things so well collectively that it makes up for it. So the main thing for Alabama, don't get caught looking in the backfield if you're a DB. Read the eyes of the quarterback, break on the football. And this is going to be a huge game for Tony Brown and Hootie Jones, two seniors that were a part of that 2014 signing class for Alabama. Hootie Jones, the 4-star from Monroe, Louisiana. Tony Brown, the 5-star from Beaumont, Texas. Both of these two have had some rough moments the last couple of weeks. Those two have to step up in this football game to really play well against these receivers of Auburn. You know what to expect from Minkah Fitzpatrick. He comes to play every day. You know what to expect from Ronnie Harrison, but from Tony Brown and Hootie Jones, gotta have a big performance from those two if you're Jeremy Pruitt.
We're talking Tide with Stephen M. Smith of Touchdown Alabama. You got to join him on his show, The Way It Is, Fox 97.9, Mondays through Fridays, 2 to 4 Central Time, breaking down Bama, Auburn, Iron Bowl. That should be all you need to be able to check this one out, but it's for the SEC Western Division Championship for the Auburn Tigers, despite the 2 losses, number 6 in the country, and a clear path to the college football playoff as they've already completed challenge and mission number 1 out of 3 in defeating number 1 Georgia. Now it's Alabama, their fierce rival, to get a return trip to Atlanta and a date again with the Georgia Bulldogs. And for Alabama, it's clear they want to complete the mission. They want to beat their hated rival, the Auburn Tigers, of course, and then win another SEC championship, because Nick Saban, especially since this college football playoff era has begun, reminds us, Stephen, it's first and foremost about winning the SEC. The SEC is still the prize. We control that. Let's go win the SEC. Let's do that. So he has got to be reminding his guys of that. Forget this college football playoff business. We are here to beat Auburn and go win the SEC.
And that's the biggest thing for him is not just keeping the guys focused, but making sure everybody's got that attention to detail in this game. Because, like I said, against Auburn, the stakes are high. The crowd is going to be crazy at Jordan Hare. You got to be able to compose yourself. Once that dust settles, all the hypeness starts to die down. It's about execution. Who can execute the plays on the field offensively, defensively, also special teams. So that's Nick Saban's biggest mantra is once the smoke dies down and you play mono and mono real football, who is going to keep a level head, keep a composure, and find the plays on the field that need to be made.
And Stephen, a case could be made that the execution piece is most important for the Alabama offensive line against this Auburn defensive front, because Jalen Hurts, of course, he needs to execute, but he's thrown one interception this season. He takes care of the football, but they need to move guys off the line, and that is a difficult chore against this Auburn front. Then you got Jeff Holland running like a maniac off the edge, and they are a force up front.
They are. Alabama offensive line this year giving up 19 sacks. You cannot have Jalen Hurts on the ground in this game. Got to keep him up and give him that chance to find guys open downfield. Mark, we've seen prior to the Mercer game against LSU and Mississippi State, when you give Jalen Hurts time, he can pick you apart. He can throw the football and drop some dimes to some guys in open space if you keep him upright. Going back to the Mississippi State game for just a moment, 10 of 19 passing for 242 yards on the final drive, 3 of 4 passing for 72 yards, including that 26-yard game-winning touchdown to Devonta Smith that, finally had my heart rate calming down some after that game was just crazy for the better part of that contest. So, Alabama offensive line has to keep Jalen Hurts upright. And in this matchup, Crimson Tide hoping to have Raj Pierschbacher in this game as at left guard, 3-year starter at that spot. Pierschbacher suffered a high ankle sprain against Mississippi State. He was scheduled to miss 2 to 4 weeks. Now, he was actually at practice today, but kind of stood off to the side as J.C. Hassenauer, his replacement, took first-team reps with the offensive line. Now, should Pierschbacher not be able to go, Hassenauer has been in situations like these before. JC, a senior from Woodbury, Minnesota, number 190 on the ESPN 300 when he came into that 2014 class, a 4-star guy, one of the nation's top center and guard prospects when he arrived, was actually supposed to play center for Alabama, but Bradley Bozeman beat him out at that spot. But he's got a lot of football playing, a lot of football experience under his belt at Alabama. Got a chance to play quite a bit against Mississippi State, held his own, did an outstanding job, was one of the SEC offensive lineman of the week following his outing against Mercer. So J.C. Hassenauer has the ability to answer the bell should Pierschbacher not be able to go.
Hey, Stephen, you see this team play each and every week. I watch the big games. So I got to say, even though they were the number 1 team in the country at the time, I lost track of Alabama for a few weeks. Of course, I watch the highlights. I read the recaps. I look at the box scores. I look at the numbers and so forth. But when they're playing the likes of Vandy, Ole Miss, etc., I'm off watching the best games of the week. In recent weeks, I did see Mississippi State. I did see LSU. I locked in on those games. Calvin Ridley with 52 receptions. Obviously, he is the best receiver on the team. I see a number of guys with 10 and 12 receptions. Do you think it's Jalen Hurts always zeroing in on Calvin Ridley? Who could possibly be a guy that you would like to see step up as a complimentary guy, as Alabama's most likely going to face its potentially 3 best opponents here in the next month or so?
I'm really looking forward to seeing Cam Sims a little bit more. Does a great job making those tightrope catches along the sideline. Has the ability to go across the middle and make receptions. Big body at 6'5", 214 pounds, and he's finally finally really healthy, 2 years removed from a anterior cruciate ligament injury in 2014. Well, the summer after that 2014 season, going into that 2015. So finally 100% from that. And of course, he had a shoulder injury last year that he's finally back from. So Cam Sims healthy. Want to see more from him in that continuation. But also Jerry Jeudy. This is a 5-star kid from Florida. He and Calvin Ridley were high school teammates at one point in time before, Jeudy moved from Coconut Creek to Deerfield Beach, Florida. And Jeudy talked about during his recruitment that he wanted one final year with Calvin in college, and he has that year. This being Calvin's junior year, Judy's freshman year. And though Jeudy has made some plays, you look at Henry Ruggs has kind of been the touchdown magnet for Alabama among the freshmen. Devonta Smith has 2 touchdowns, but Henry Ruggs has 5. And he just has a way to find the end zone. Jerry Jeudy has done some good things blocking. He's made some sound catches, but want to see more from him in this game where he continues to establish himself as a threat in the passing game. So 2 guys, want to see Cam Sims, also Jerry Jeudy. Could also throw Robert Foster in there, but Rob's having a time trying to find what his niche actually is. And I know he's a senior, and he's had quite the amount of time to get that down packed. But when you're a senior and you're still trying to find out, okay, where am I? Who am I? What is my role? What am I trying to do? At this point, you're looking at, okay, can we bring somebody else in here? So you got I'm looking at Cam Sims, and I'm looking at Jerry Jeudy.
All right, and looking at this running game, you mentioned Derrick Henry's performance a few years ago in carrying 45 times in that huge win against Auburn, and he basically went to the SEC championship game, did the same thing against Florida. He was just carrying the ball over and over and over. Obviously, the clear number 1 after TJ Yeldon moved on. Damian Harris is the decided number 1, but there's 4 options here. Obviously, Bo Scarborough was the guy in the college football playoff semifinal last year against Washington. Do you expect Nick Saban to lean on the guy that he trusts exclusively with some complimentary play and some carries for some other guys, or it really to truly be a running back by committee, everybody gets 10 to 12 to 15 touches?
I think he's going to actually start this game off of Damian Harris. I think he starts this game off of Damian Harris and really kind of get that thing established. Bo will get some touches. Josh Jacobs will definitely get some. You can possibly see Najee, but I think the way Damian Harris has played this year, running with toughness, with anger, with physicality, with speed, he's got this edge to him now. And I think Saban wants to establish that first. Now, with that being said, I still look at what the kind of team Auburn is and the speed they have on the edge, and I guess their ability to find plays out. I think Josh Jacobs, to me, could be the biggest X factor in this game because you have to account for him. He can run in between the tackles. He's got that physicality. He's got the speed on the outside. He can catch the ball out the backfield. You can put him in the slot, and he can make receptions. Alabama even had him on kick return last week. Look for that again this week. They may have him on punt return this week. So many ways where you can attack the Auburn Tigers and make them account for where you are on the field. And because of Josh Jacobs' diversity, he could be the biggest X factor along with Jalen Hurts in this ballgame.
Daniel Carlson at 19 of 25, but most of those misses from distance for Auburn. Andy Papanastis at, I believe, his percentage up there at 15 for 19. Anything that we've missed along the offensive or defensive fronts or the special teams? Anything else that you think could be key here?
I think we hit on everything, man. This is going to be one of those, I'm going to throw everything out my kitchen sink at you, and if you can take it, hey, if you can't, oh well.
So you're working on Thanksgiving. Do they have to force you in to take your 2 hours of radio time?
Well, no. I'm not working on Thanksgiving.
Very
Thankfully,
nice.
not working Thanksgiving.
That's good to
Not
know.
working Thanksgiving, and co-host, my man Jordan Campbell, has some family things to attend to on Friday. So I get a 2-day rest.
I love it. I love it. So we got Auburn, Alabama, Stephen M. Smith of Touchdown Alabama. You got to join the crew right there for the best in Alabama football coverage. And on his show, weekdays, 2 to 4 Central Time, Fox 97.9 for The Way It Is. Stephen, I know you'll have a pick that will be placed on Touchdown Alabama. I certainly will take one here, but if you're waiting to deliver that later in the week, we'll certainly respect your wishes and direct everyone to Touchdown Alabama.
Oh, I can make the pick here.
Okay.
It's gonna be a tight. It's gonna be a tight one, and I've ran back and forth with this. But I've got 35-28 Alabama.
Okay, they're going to score some points in this one.
35-28 Alabama. I think it comes down. It could come down to whoever has the ball last at quarterback, Mark.
Wow.
This game could literally come down to the last quarterback that has the ball. This is how tight this game could be.
Well, we've seen some good ones. Obviously, the last 2 years have been pretty mundane with Alabama controlling the game, but 55-44, as you allude to, 3 years ago, that was quite the shootout with Auburn grabbing like a 12-point lead in the third quarter, and Alabama stormed back for the victory, and, of course, the kick six and the Cam comeback in 2010. So just this decade has supplied us already with some memorable and very historic moments in this series, and obviously this one is for pretty much everything, especially if you're an Auburn Tiger that has to win out to get to the college football playoff and, of course, win the SEC championship. For Alabama, those stakes are yet to be determined, but they don't want to leave anything to chance. Win them all, win against your rival, because that would be the worst of worst things for a championship Alabama team to have to answer in its own state, that even though they won the national championship or the SEC championship, that they couldn't even beat Auburn in the Iron Bowl. That would be a strange scenario, but one that Auburn could maybe relish a little bit, that it was able to at least knock off Alabama. So all sorts of college football playoff implications. And, of course, the winner will be a favorite in Atlanta, I would suppose, against the Georgia Bulldogs in the SEC championship game. All right, Stephen, I think we've done enough damage. We appreciate your time. And, of course, have a happy Thanksgiving to you and yours. Have a great time. Don't fill up too much. Enjoy the football. Enjoy the family time. And do it up big. And I know that we're both very thankful for our faith and for the family that we have, and just all the blessings that each one of us enjoy.
100%. You do the same, Mark. And good week for some rivalry football.